In the longest convention speech ever, Donald Trump speaking for 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 55 seconds, painting an apocalyptic vision of America where he is the almighty savior.
So in part 13, we've got the Moshiach miracle, a telling tattoo, a synchronistic symbol, a bonanza of Baphomets, ongoing build-up to World War III, coming right up in this episode, and as expected, well, what can you say?
God literally gave us Donald Trump, and they are going to try to assassinate President Trump.
I'm not going into too much detail here. Needless to say, there are a plethora of dodgy details regarding this. I think this is my favourite. What is he putting on that podium? And as we would expect by now, it was followed up by yet another person claiming that Trump is the chosen one of some kind.
It seems obvious to me that on Shabbat, July 13th, in Butler, Pennsylvania, and in front of the eyes of the entire world, God's voice was heard loud and clear to anyone whose ears were open. And he chose the second non-Jewish Messiah. President Trump's right ear was grazed in a symbolic gesture of Exodus 21:6, where the Torah states that a servant who wants to remain with his master needs to have his right ear pierced. Trump was designated as God's servant and anointed one, just like Cyrus the Great almost 2,400 years ago.
It just keeps getting weirder and weirder. He's being anointed every other week now, it would seem. People are even wearing ear patches like stigmata or something. Even the deliverer of the prophecy itself has some history of this weird worship.
God literally gave us Donald Trump, and God gave us and rose up Donald Trump. Trump is a godsend, an imperfect messenger of God, but nevertheless, a King David of our time.
Chiming in with our old friends at 365 News. BlackRock seen scrubbing any links to the alleged perp. And of course, Iran implicated in the build-up to World War III. And it all resonates with this that I mentioned in part 11, the final end times battle of G&M. Turkey recently throwing its hat into the ring, one of the countries involved in the end times. But in the end, at least Trump has still got both ears. I'm sure he's listening carefully.
On this episode of It's a Miracle, a television show provides a...
Continuing with the messianic theme, I just had to mention this from the Olympics. Was it really meant to be this? Got quite serious by all accounts in the mainstream. But first here's Snoop with the Olympic torch. Think he got the wrong idea when he heard that it was lit. Here he is with a goat head pendant. And the androgyny continues. History being made with the Olympic torch. Now, this may just be a coincidence, but I couldn't help but notice the resemblance here. We've got the as above, so below hands, the flame, human chest detail, a half sphere, wings. It's all there. And as for the resemblance to the religiously themed painting, well, at first it was all just so very stunning. But then the artistic director denied it was intentional at all. Not really buying it myself. A lot of people since have asserted it was all meant to be this painting. Can't really see it. But I think the key to it is all in the DJ at centre stage. Let's have a closer look at this tattoo on the right forearm here. A couple of people suggested this is the Baphomet. This photo is pretty inconclusive, but I've done a little bit more digging into it. Let's look at this better image close up. What can we see in this? This part of the tattoo says the French words Le Monde, French for the world. And here we see XXI, the numerals for 21. Without a shadow of a doubt, this is meant to be the World Tarot card that I mentioned way back in part 2, complete with numerals. So what does this have to do with this religious painting, I hear you ask? Well, if we find some more images, we can certainly see Baphomet-like details. We have eyes, definitely a face of some kind, and a symbol on the forehead. Looking quite promising so far, but I think the most compelling details are these clouds here. They match exactly the as above, so below arm positioning on the Baphomet. Is this just coincidence? Or even synchromysticism, perhaps? She's got the same kind of headwear. She's throwing a love heart in exactly the same position. And look here, these are hands. Does this remind you of anything? Has a striking resemblance to the Sacred Heart of the Big JC. And look here, the sun and moon. Reminiscent of the synchronical model. Did the event organizers overlook this seemingly occult-themed tattoo, accidentally depicting an occult inversion of a religiously themed painting and a religious figurehead, and the World Tarot card itself drawing parallels from another iconic religious image? If nothing else, this is great synchro mysticism. And staying with the Olympic theme,
I am the emblem of Paris 2024, and this is my face. My face was born from the union of three symbols: the gold medal, the flame, Marianne, united for the first time in history under the same Olympic and Paralympic identity. I am the emblem of Paris 2024.
So this Olympics 24 emblem made up of three symbols. Let's remind ourselves of what they are. First, we have Marianne, depicted with a Phrygian cap, which has heavy lunar symbolism. So let's put the moon here. Then we have the gold medal, depicted as the sun in the video. And then the flame. Where else can we see the flame? On the Baphomet's very own torch. Looking very good for the synchronical model. And let's not forget, Eliphas Levi himself was born in Paris. So I think this Olympic emblem belongs on the synchronical model. With all the androgyny and the occult themes, there it is. Very nice. Didn't do themselves any favours in the closing ceremony either. This gold winged thing, planting a flag which triggered this, like some kind of light bearer, not to mention the as above so below gesturing. I do sometimes wonder whether or not it's all just a big coincidence. I suppose it could be, but if it is, its coincidence is all the way down. Or is it some kind of religious hope to return to some kind of primordial state? A wish to redefine everything under an androgynous banner? Whatever it is, people are more divided than ever before, it would seem. It certainly got a reaction from the religious groups. And if the significance of Pluto on that zero line is anything to go by, still loitering on that degree until November 19th later this year, we can expect to see a lot more of this, protests against perceived injustice and corruption. We're certainly seeing a lot of that at the moment. And if you coagulate a lot of different people all in the same place, you're going to get a lot of Solvay going on eventually. Whatever you may think about what's happening right now, Levi's idealism, embodied in his Baphomet, is the future we've been slowly marched towards, and there doesn't seem to be any turning back. And when Pluto finally enters Aquarius, we see another cycle ending. November the 19th, in the Zolkeen, is 13 Monkey, and the next day, the 20th, is 1 Road in the Zolkeen. So this is a synchronized time frame of change. I said back in part 12 that this alignment of Saturn and Neptune on the 0 degree of Aries could be interesting. Neptune getting there on the 31st of March 2025. And then on the 26th of May 25, Saturn will also reach this degree. But I think the key date of this alignment is the middle of February 2026, when both planets will be there. Now the Saturn-Neptune conjunction happens every 36 years or so. The last time this happened was in March 1989, when the old Soviet Union began to dissolve. And the time before that was in 1952 to 53, when the Soviet leader Stalin became unalived. And with Neptune joined by Saturn on the opposite side of the zodiac in 2026, and the other planets configured to match the birth of the USA, will this be a key period for the States? Give us a like if you want, don't let me pressure you, share, subscribe, all of that jazz. And apart from that, I shall see you in the next video.